Hello, my name is Adiraj Katoch, and I will be looking over my annotations for page 11 and 12 in several short sentences about writing by Verlin Klinkenborg. My first annotation is short sentences aren't hard to make. The difficulty is forcing yourself to keep them short. I agree with this statement. The next annotation that I've made is the usual way is making sentences that don't say what you think they do. I asked, could this come out the wrong way? Does this mean make the sentence more meaningful so the reader has to think about what you said? And if they have to think too much, could they possibly even lose interest in what you have to say? Or become very much confused and conflicted in their thoughts? And then, because of what they thought here, like either wherever it is, the rest of your essay or text might be odd for the reader and might be different. The reader might think differently than what you want them to perceive. My next is grammar, syntax, the history and customs of language. A world echoes and allusions and social cues that pay no heed to your attentions. I'm not sure what the author means by quite apart from yours. Although overall, I would say you have to change what you say so it agrees with the rules. That is how it's been done. The English language is built on grammar, syntax, and the history of customs of language. If you do not write it like that, then how will the reader be able to understand what we wrote, as they've learned in proper English? And of course, it has to be in proper English. If it's not, then how will we even understand it when we're going over it? Also, that would be so much more work, and there's way more room for error if you just don't pay any attention to it and then go back to proofread and everything is just wrong. You might not catch everything. My page 12, the first annotation I made in purple, I've annotated every important piece that I believe is vital. It's easier to tell what you're saying in a short sentence. I feel like this is what the book will be about, as it relates to this title, several short sentences about writing. And I feel like the whole book will turn out this way. Short sentences are childish. When thinking back to when I was a child, we never really were told that they were childish. It was always implied that your thought process was narrow and ended quickly if you had small sentences. And it really was a first step toward writing longer sentences. I agree with what he says, merely a first step toward writing longer sentences. I can look at my first grade work, which is short, to my fifth, which is quite longer. Next is into a wilderness of false assumptions and bad habits. I like an analogy like into a wilderness. Well, not really an analogy, a description of what the how big the false assumptions and bad habits are. The word I've highlighted here, underlined, is called jargon, which is a special words or expressions that are used by a particular profession or group and are difficult for others to understand. A desert of jargon. I also like this description. My last annotation for this page is true. You can sound quite grown up, quite authoritative in the manner of college professors and journalists and experts in everyday fields. I said, I agree. You really can. Depending on what you say in that long sentence. However, I do agree. Maybe in a short sentence, you can also seem even more authoritative. Like you give a direct order, 3 words, that's it. Instead of giving a long speech that could just drive a person crazy. Short and to the point. Next is my side page of annotations. I noticed the author wants us to overcome our academic training. By this is what we've learned in school. He wants us to overcome it and come into this book with an open set of eyes. I realized this when reading more of the book. Think outside of what everyone learns. This relates back to your just academic training, and just think outside the box when the box is the academic training, which is it's really something odd to wrap your head around. To forget everything that you've learned in school is harder than you think. You might say, like, oh, yeah, I can't remember George Washington's birthday on top of my head. But honestly, to erase everything that you've learned in the English language especially is incredibly difficult. The next is easier to correct. Short sentences are easier to correct. I agree with this fully. A short sentence is a lot easier to correct as there's a lot less punctuation, like semicolons, commas, and I completely agree with the author. Easier to examine the properties of the sentence. By this, I mean, the author even means that you can understand the main topic of each sentence easily by having a short sentence. Overall, in the pages I have read, I have noticed that the author will write, put a comma, and then go to the next line and start with a capital letter. Why the author decides to do this, I have some ideas after talking with others, but honestly, at first, I thought this was very annoying. I had no idea what the author was doing by also putting indents randomly in his sentences. You can see on page 12, there are some examples of that. For example, a desert of jargon and weak constructions, a land of linguistic, then indent, barbarism, comma, a place where it's nearly impossible to write with clarity or directness, comma, and then capital W for without. At first I thought this was annoying, but then when talking to others, it's really him, the author himself, getting away from his academic training. Thank you.